Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're digging into something pretty fascinating, how big data and cloud technology are changing the game for food safety and sustainability, specifically here in North America.
Yeah, we've got some really interesting material, a big scientific review covering 2015 to 2020, plus a more recent landscape analysis from, well, this year, 2024, focusing on the US, Canada, and Puerto Rico.
Exactly. And the mission for this deep dive really is to get a handle on how these technologies are actually being used, across the whole food value chain.
Right. We want to see how they're helping prevent foodborne
Oh,
illnesses, making supply chains more efficient, cutting down on that huge amount of food
like
waste.
just staggering.
It really is. And even how they might help tackle food insecurity, which is still a major issue.
Okay, let's kick off with that earlier review, the one from 2015-2020. It focused squarely on big data and food safety. So maybe first, what do we actually mean by big data here?
Good question. In this food safety context, big data basically means these enormous, really diverse sets of information. And they're being generated constantly, super fast from all sorts of places.
Okay, so massive amounts of data coming quickly from everywhere.
Pretty much. Think online databases tracking safety alerts, sensors on farms or trucks, internet searches, even satellite images looking down on fields.
Wow, that sounds like a lot to manage. In this review, it sifted through a huge amount of research, didn't it?
It did. They started with almost 700 potential papers and
Mhm.
filtered it down to 113 that were really focused on big data applications for food safety.
And they categorized those applications.
Exactly. They looked at where the data comes from, how it's collected, the infrastructure needed, and crucially, how it's analyzed.
Okay, let's break that down. Data sources and collection. Where did the review say most of this information originates?
A really wide range, actually. You've got the official online databases like the EU's RASFF system or the U.S. Import Refusal Report. These track hazards and incidents.
Right, the official channels.
Definitely. But also data scraped from the internet, complex omics data that's like genetic or molecular details of food and contaminants.
Right.
And then increasingly, sensors, mobile phones, social media feeds, smart surveillance like cameras, IoT devices, GIS, satellite data, even blockchain tech.
Hold on, mobile phones. How are smartphones being used for food safety? That sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's quite innovative. Some studies looked at using the phone's camera, maybe with an attachment, to detect things like milk adulteration or certain contaminants.
Really?
Others explored apps for identifying bacteria on meat or spinach,
Hmm.
even monitoring food vendor practices in markets.
Ah,
And there was mention of wireless food labels sending real-time quality info to your phone. It sort of democratizes testing, potentially moving it out of just specialized labs.
that's a huge shift. Puts more power potentially in the hands of consumers or smaller businesses. What about the potential downsides, though? Data accuracy, responsibility.
Those are exactly the kinds of questions that arise, yeah. Who validates the data? What are the standards? It's powerful, but needs careful implementation.
Make things. And those online databases you mentioned first, they must be treasure troves of information for regulators and researchers.
Absolutely. They're fundamental for tracking hazards, understanding exposure risks, seeing patterns in surveillance, like the FDA's import refusal system. It makes data public on what products get stopped at the border.
Transparency is key there. Now, the review didn't just look at current tech, did it? It mentioned emerging methods, too.
Right. The Internet of Things, or IoT, was a big one. Using connected devices to, track food products through the supply chain, monitor temperature, humidity.
Especially for sensitive stuff, I imagine. High-value food.
Exactly. Things like seafood or certain pharmaceuticals. And blockchain also came up a lot.
Ah, blockchain. Always generates buzz. The idea is transparency and traceability.
That's the promise. An unchangeable shared ledger showing a product's journey. Who handled it, where, when, under what conditions.
Which would be incredibly useful for recalls, right? Pinpointing the source faster.
Theoretically, yes. Much faster, more precise recalls.
Yeah.
But the review did flag a key challenge, ensuring the data entered onto the blockchain is accurate and trustworthy in the first place. Garbage in, garbage out, even on a blockchain.
Right, the tech itself doesn't guarantee data veracity. That's a critical point. What about the hurdles to flawless implementation? Is it cost, complexity, getting everyone on board?
It's a mix of all those, really. The technology is still relatively new in this application. It can be complex to set up, and getting all the different players in a long supply chain, farmers, processors, shippers, retailers, to adopt and use the same system consistently, that's a huge coordination challenge. Plus, data integrity remains the core issue.
Okay. You also mentioned social media earlier. How does Twitter or X fit into food safety?
It's maybe not obvious, but researchers are using it to gauge public awareness, understand how people perceive risks, track reactions after an incident. One study crunched like 2.6 million food-related tweets.
Wow, that's a massive focus group.
Essentially, yeah, it gives you a real-time pulse on public sentiment and emerging concerns that official channels might miss initially.
Fascinating. And remote sensing, satellites.
Yeah, using satellite imagery combined with climate data, primarily for things like detecting crop diseases over large areas. Think early warnings for potential issues in the food supply originating on the farm. Databases like FAO GeoNetwork or Landsat provide that kind of bird's eye view.
So we're collecting data from phones, tweets, satellites, all over. What about the plumbing? The infrastructure needed to handle all this must be significant.
Hugely significant. The review pointed to the need for serious computing power, like supercomputing centers, for processing these enormous data sets.
Makes sense.
And cloud computing is becoming absolutely central. They mentioned specific initiatives in EU Food Nutrition Security Cloud. The FDA's own IT strategic plan involves cloud. China has a national food safety cloud system for supervision and traceability.
Cloud seems like the only practical way to get the scale and flexibility needed.
Okay, so you've got the data, you've got the infrastructure. How are people actually analyzing it to find useful insights?
A whole toolkit of methods, things like content analysis, text mining, social media or safety reports, econometric analysis using data like import refusals to study trade patterns and risks.
Right.
There were even proposals for recommendation systems, using social media insights maybe to suggest safer supply chain choices.
Like this supplier has fewer negative mentions. Interesting.
Potentially, yeah. But the big player, increasingly, is machine learning, ML, and AI more broadly.
Right. How is ML being used specifically?
Lots of ways. Predicting food fraud using past incident data, like from RASFF with techniques like Bayesian networks.
Bayesian networks?
Yep.
Like mapping probability.
Exactly. Predicting hazards in produce based on climate, farming practices, economic factors, also Bayesian networks. Predicting public reactions using neural networks. Building alarm systems based on patterns in electronic invoices, using things like random forests or decision trees. Okay, so different ML tools for different predictive tasks.
Right. And even things like automatically identifying key information, like specific companies or products mentioned in unstructured text reports, using techniques like naive Bayes or support vector machines.
It sounds like ML is becoming essential for finding those needles in the data haystack. But surely it's not all smooth sailing. What challenges did the review highlight?
Oh, definitely challenges. The classic big data issues, volume, variety, velocity, but also veracity, the trustworthiness of the data. That's huge.
Right, the 4 Vs, plus the truthfulness.
Exactly. And then the infrastructure costs and complexity, the fact that blockchain, while promising, is still kind of immature and complicated for widespread use. And of course, massive concerns around data security and privacy, especially with cloud storage and shared data. That's always a big one.
Critical considerations. Can't build this interconnected system on shaky foundations of bad data or poor security. So what was the final word from that 2015-2020 review, the overall conclusion?
Generally optimistic, actually. It concluded that big data has massive potential to improve how we predict, monitor, and control food safety. But,
There's always a but.
always, but it stressed that we still need to overcome significant hurdles, societal acceptance, governance frameworks, technical challenges to really unlock all that potential.
Okay, that's a great summary of the state of play up to 2020, focusing on big data. Now let's shift gears to that 2024 landscape analysis. This one zooms in on cloud technology specifically and its role in the North American food value chain, US, Canada, Puerto Rico.
Right, and the context they set is really important.
Yeah.
The ongoing challenge of food insecurity across these regions.
Yeah, you mentioned that earlier. Millions still struggling for consistent access to safe, nutritious food.
Exactly. And the report really positions the food value chain, everything from farm to fork, as absolutely vital for public health and well-being.
And the idea is that cloud tech can help address some of these deep-seated issues within that chain.
That's the core premise. The analysis sees huge potential for the cloud. Things like helping food banks manage inventory better, enabling smart farming with more precision, supporting e-government solutions for food aid, and just generally coordinating that whole complex supply chain more effectively.
So, applying cloud tools to these specific problems, the report identified some key insights or maybe challenges across the North American food value chain overall. What were they?
Yeah, four main ones. First, the inherent volatility, economic swings, climate change impacts, sudden safety outbreaks. The whole system is prone to shocks.
Okay, volatility. What else?
Second, they describe the end-to-end supply chain as, well, suboptimal. Lots of inefficiencies, spoilage, poor inventory planning leading to waste.
Suboptimal. Got it.
Third, systemic inequities. These really impact communities and the workforce. Think unequal access to healthy food in some areas and tough conditions or low wages for many agricultural workers.
A major social dimension there.
Definitely. And fourth, what they call the data interoperability deficiency. Basically, different systems and organizations across the chain just don't talk to each other effectively. Data is stuck in silos.
That interoperability point sounds familiar. It echoes the challenges mentioned in the big data review too, doesn't it? Like, we have all this data, but getting it to flow and be usable everywhere is tough.
Exactly. It's a persistent barrier. If a farmer's sensor data can't easily integrate with a shipper's logistics system or a retailer's inventory management, you lose massive opportunities for optimization and waste reduction.
Right. How specifically is this lack of seamless data sharing hindering progress in North America, according to this analysis?
It creates friction everywhere. It makes it harder to accurately predict demand, leading to over or understocking. It slows down traceability during outbreaks. It prevents efficient matching of surplus food with needs, contributing to waste. It hampers efforts to give consumers clear information about their food's origin or nutritional value. It's like trying to run a relay race where the runners can't easily pass the baton.
That's a great analogy. Okay, so based on those big challenges, volatility, inefficiency, inequity, lack of interoperability, what specific gaps of opportunities did the 2024 analysis point out?
Well, related to volatility, there's a clear need for better predictive models, using cloud analytics to help businesses navigate those shocks.
Okay, better forecasting.
To tackle the supply chain inefficiencies, they stressed addressing that data fragmentation, getting systems to share data more smoothly. There's also a big opportunity to use tech to better link the commercial food system with food banks and charities. Think platforms to quickly redirect food nearing its expiry date.
Smart. Connecting surplus to need.
Definitely. For interoperability, the call is for standardized data formats and strong data governance rules. And crucially, fostering much more collaboration between everyone involved: producers, distributors, retailers, tech providers, government agencies.
Breaking down silos again, it seems to be a recurring theme.
It really is fundamental. They also highlighted policy interventions, things needed to address the inequities faced by farm workers, and ways to improve food assistance programs using technology.
So a mix of tech solutions and policy changes. The report also assessed how ready North America is for this cloud-driven transformation. What's the verdict on cloud readiness?
Generally pretty advanced, particularly in the US and Canada. The major cloud providers, AWS, Google Cloud, Azure, Oracle, have strong presences, lots of data centers, availability zones. But there are disparities. Unequal access to good internet connectivity is still a big issue, especially in rural parts of the U.S. and across Puerto Rico.
The digital divide.
Exactly. And there's also a need for more people with cloud skills across the board. So the core tech might be there, but making sure everyone can actually connect to it and use it effectively, that still needs work.
So availability is one thing, accessibility and skills are another.
Yeah.
How do the U.S., Canada, and Puerto Rico compare specifically?
The U.S. has its federal cloud smart strategy and a very mature market. Canada also has a cloud smart approach. Adoption is maybe a bit behind the U.S., with providers concentrated mainly in Quebec and Ontario data centers. Puerto Rico has PRUTS, the Innovation and Technology Service, working hard to centralize IT and push cloud, but they face bigger hurdles with connectivity and finding enough skilled tech workers locally.
Interesting regional differences. What about specific cloud adoption challenges mentioned, beyond connectivity and skills?
In Canada, they noted complexities around data regulations and maybe a slower pace of modernizing older systems. For Puerto Rico, the talent shortage is a key bottleneck. Even in the U.S., while mature, ensuring equitable access and continuous upskilling remain priorities. Companies like AWS, Google, and Microsoft are investing in training programs and infrastructure across all three regions to help address these gaps.
Okay, so progress is being made, but challenges remain. Did the report give concrete examples of cloud tech already making a difference in the food chain?
Yes, definitely. They highlighted a few. There's a global tool called Cultivate, running on AWS, that helps agribusinesses with a marketplace, satellite data integration, and analytics.
For the production end.
Right. Then at the consumer end, Kraft Heinz is using generative AI. They built Kraft GPT on a digital twin of their supply chain.
Craft GPT.
Seriously?
Apparently. Using it for optimizing the supply chain, developing new product, even marketing. All powered by cloud AI on this virtual model of their operation.
It's pretty cutting edge.
And for waste management, there's a collaboration between Hitachi and a company called One Third. They're using AI and IoT sensors to predict the shelf life of fresh produce more accurately.
Which helps retailers manage stock and hopefully waste less.
Exactly. Less guesswork, more data-driven decisions about freshness.
Those are great tangible examples. Production, consumer interaction, waste reduction. How did the report connect these emerging cloud capabilities back to tackling those big challenges? Volatility, inefficiency, etc. They mapped it out clearly. Better cloud data management and storage helps reduce supply chain costs and improve planning, tackling inefficiency.
Okay.
IoT enables real-time quality monitoring and precision agriculture, hitting both inefficiency and potentially safety quality aspects.
Hmm.
And AI, ML, predictive analytics, these are powerful tools for better quality control, more automation, optimizing logistics, even personalizing consumer offers, and crucially, predicting demand to reduce waste and manage volatility.
So the tools are aligning with the problems. The report finished with some calls to action, right? What are the key recommendations?
Several big ones. First, really push on advancing data interoperability and analytics, develop integrated systems, share data in real time, maybe even link food system data with social service platforms to better target aid, use predictive analytics more for managing global shocks, identify food rescue opportunities through integrated data.
So connect the data dots much more effectively.
Precisely. Second, connect and communicate better across the value chain. Bring farmers into the loop when designing health or food assistance programs. Maybe incentivize growing nutrient-dense foods. Use IoT for consistent food quality measurement everywhere.
More collaboration, better communication.
Yes. And third, really center on the customer and enable community co-creation. Use tech that's user-friendly, listen to community voices, maybe set up community food innovation hubs, invest in those interoperable data sets about customer preferences and needs.
It sounds like a strong emphasis on making the technology serve people and communities, not just optimizing logistics in a vacuum.
Absolutely. Technology as an enabler for better collaboration, equity, and responsiveness.
So pulling it all together, looking at the big picture from both the big data review and this cloud analysis, what's the overarching potential here? Can these technologies truly transform the food value chain?
I think the potential is genuinely transformative. We're talking about significant gains in efficiency, definitely. A much more sustainable system, less waste, lower emissions through better logistics and resource use, and hopefully a more equitable system for getting food to people. The cloud provides the platform, and big data analytics provide the intelligence to make it happen.
But it's not automatic. That also came through clearly.
Not at all. Realizing this requires a concerted effort. Collaboration is key. Public sector, private companies, nonprofits working together. It needs smart, sustained investment in the tech and in people's skills. It needs supportive policies and a fair allocation of resources.
A multi-pronged approach.
Exactly. It's complex, no single magic bullet.
Okay. So as we wrap up this deep dive, maybe a final thought for you, our listener.
Yep.
Considering how big data and the cloud are becoming increasingly woven into the fabric of our food systems, how can you, as an individual, become a more informed, maybe even more active participant in shaping that future towards one that's safer, more sustainable, and more equitable for everyone?
Yeah, that's a really important question to reflect on. How does this knowledge change how we interact with the food system?
Definitely something to think about. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.